Hey everyone, welcome back to my last video in this series of load balancing some traffic demo on the FortiGate 6.0. My name's Devin Adams. I'm a Fortinet certified trainer here in Tempe, Arizona for Dynamic Worldwide, and I do these videos for my students, my participants, and someone asked me specifically about load balancing options. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. So in the last video, we migrated to the SD-WAN, and what the SD-WAN does is we can throw links at it, so pretty much, different circuits from different providers, throw it to the FortiGate, and the FortiGate will start using it as a single logical interface. But it's more intelligent than that. So we're going to see in this video, and guys, I promise you, this is going to be a very basic demo because it is more to it than just this, but that would have to be like a whole entire separate set of videos here. But essentially, the SD-WAN is intelligent enough to make decisions based off of rules that goes way beyond just simply an IP routing table. So let's go ahead and actually see what we have here. But basically, guys, our only goal for this video is to maybe take a look at different ways that we can push traffic down a specific interface. All right, so let's go ahead and log into our FortiGate here. Okay, here we go. Oh, can't remember my password. Anyone know what my password is? Oh, I'm just kidding. All right, did that work? Okay, good. Awesome. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we did. So if we come here to our network and we look at our interfaces, we will see the it's 4 circuits that we've bound to that SD-WAN interface. So let's go ahead and open this up. And as you can see here, we have our WAN 1, our WAN 2. We also have port 3 and port 4. And it looks like I did not clean that up very well. Kind of interesting too, guys. So because this was configured beforehand, right? See how it's actually having the IP addresses here? But because I defined them using the wizard in our SD-WAN configuration pane here, it kept it as quad 0. That's something I've never noticed before. But I'm going to drill into this port 3 and just make sure like my I didn't want any administrative access pointing from the outside, but I'm going to call this WAN 3 alias just for my simplification for management. All right, so there's one. I'm just cleaning up shop here. And it almost treats it like a zone. I mean, that's what it really comes down to. But like I said, it's more intelligent than that because if we go to our SD-WAN interface now, you can see this is where we actually picked the interfaces and then the next hop. So which was very interesting that it left it as the quad 0 there. So I'm actually wondering, like, what is it using as an IP address if I didn't define it on the interfaces? But it's pushing out traffic, so it was load balancing between them. I don't like that. You know that, guys? So I'm actually going to go to my interfaces just to make sure we're not breaking anything here, because that doesn't hurt to put an IP address on here. So I'll have to explore that on my own some other time. All right, here we go. With the /24. All right, there we are. It's just freaking me out. So, all right, here we go. And normally we'd have these configured ahead of time before we dropped them into our logical SD-WAN interface. All right, there we go. Oops, forgot my /24. There we go. All right, there we go. So that should be a little bit better. But we saw that we threw links at it, and then we can actually see the traffic just being distributed, the distribution of traffic across all of those links. All right, and it's pretty easy peasy. Now, how is it deciding where to go? How is it deciding how to distribute this traffic? Well, if we go down to our SD-WAN rules, there is an implicit rule. And this is what we saw at the beginning of these videos when we had this implicit, or we not had implicit, we had the ECMP, equal cost multipath load balancing algorithm. All right, so, and because our lab environment's so small, I picked source destination. So every time the source and destination IP address changed, it went ahead and it pushed it down a new link. All right, so that's nothing fancy, okay? We were able to do that not using the SD-WAN. So what makes the SD-WAN so special, all right? And it's going to be the rules, but we really can't do anything special with the rules until, all right, we do some link monitors, okay? And in older versions of the FortiOS, it was just simply called link monitor. Once they rebranded it to SD-WAN, it's now called performance SLAs. So let's go ahead and take a look at there. So once again, this is going to replace that link monitor that we did in the CLI in the earlier videos. So let's go ahead and create new. And we're going to call this something like, I don't know, Google's DNS, all right? And these are the protocols that you can use to reach out to the service. And it's just like we did before. We're picking some kind of servers that we can reach beyond a certain gateway, all right, of our internet service provider, just to test the connectivity, all right? So here we're going to use 8888. And you can pick multiple ones here too, which are neat. And then we're going to pick all of our interfaces that are going to be reaching out to this Google's DNS. All right. And then, just like before, how often is it going to go out there and ping? How many failures before it's going to go ahead and remove it from the possible participants? And how many times does it have to come back successfully before we can logically add it back into our group? All right, so, and this is the whole update the static route, meaning that if they do fail the link check, right, they will be removed. So this is a GUI version of our ability to do what we did in the earlier videos through the CLI. All right, so, and if we go ahead and we just kind of hit F5 here on our web browser, we'll see those spit up and come alive. All right, so look how flippin' cool that is, guys. I don't know about you, but I think that is pretty darn neat. All right, so let's go ahead and just test that really quickly. Okay, and let's say that somewhere between here and Timbuktu, one of our connections went down. All right, so, and that's why we made these little net term boxes earlier. And I go ahead and I hit a refresh. All right, it went ahead and it automatically removed that WAN link, because it cannot reach out to Google's DNS. And what's neat about that is that, you know, we might not have an actual downed interface between our port 4 here and the next hop of our internet service provider and their autonomous system. We just know that there's something wrong between here and also out here in the WAN. All right, so let's go ahead and turn that back on. And once we turn that back on and we hit our refresh here, okay, remember, it has to have 5 attempts before it'll come back up and running. And I also just remembered the thing's a box, so it has to boot up. There we go. All right, now it's back up. Okay, not too shabby. All right, so I thought that was pretty darn cool. And it is dynamically, automatically writing all the routes to make all this magic happen. If we go down to our monitor and our routing monitor, okay, you'll see them there. All right, come on, guys, that is stinking cool. Well, here's the thing though. All right, what happens if, are you guys ready? There is a problem with one of these service providers that doesn't necessarily result in a down connection, but a trashy line. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to log into this little net term box that we created earlier, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add some packet loss. Look at that. So, oops, it'd be nice if I didn't have numlock on. Here we go. So I'm going to say, why is that not working? Come on, buddy. Delay. So we're going to add 500 milliseconds of latency. Oh, that's not good. And maybe 10% packet loss. All right, here we go. So I don't know about you guys, but that's a pretty trashy connection. Okay, so let's go back to our network, our SD-WAN, and let's go to our performance monitor here, and we should start seeing that being reflected. All right, so as you can see here, port 2 does have a 10% packet loss, and look at that latency. Ugh, barf. Look at that jitter. No. And this is exactly where the performance SLAs come in. Because with the performance SLAs that we can define within this monitor, we can simply say, hey, if you don't meet the grade, you can't participate. All right, so let's go ahead and set that up. Now, the reason why they call this service level agreements or SLAs is because a lot of times when we have these as a service going out there to certain maybe streaming services or any kind of like VoIP services, they say, hey, you know what? We will guarantee that our stuff works as long as you can maintain something like, you know, this much latency or this much reduction in jitter. All right, if you can't meet that, then we can't even help you out. All right, so let's go in here and let's actually create a service level agreement. All right, and we're going to say, hey, you know what, if you can't maintain 5 seconds of latency and jitter at 5 seconds and packet loss at 0, all right, don't participate. We'll actually make another one here that might be a little bit more generous because of my lab environment. I'm gonna say 30. Here we go. And what's neat about the newer versions of the FortiOS 2 is that they have a lot of the SLA targets baked right into the FortiOS DAO. So if you have a service like Skype that guarantees service, if you can hit a certain threshold, you can go ahead and you can define that. So 30 is a little high. I'm just going to say 25. So, all right, but now that we have these targets here, we can start defining them in our rules. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. All right, and like I said, guys, that's the reason why I did the latency a little bit lower here, because of my lab environment. No one would ever hit it. So, in fact, you know what? I'm going to make that 30 just because. So here we are. Because right now it's up. It's still routing traffic, all right? But let's say that we wanted to make sure that only those interfaces that meet that qualification actually gets to participate. So to do this, we're going to go to our SD-WAN rules, all right? We're going to create a new rule, and it is top down, and here we're going to say something like QoS Internet Services, all right, or something like that. Source address, anyone coming from our subnet. Look at that, authentication. Guys, if you have authentication on the FortiGates, you can have like a turkey group and push them down like an old T1 connection. Anyways, service, we're just going to do an all for right now, all right, for any protocol, okay? And then here, it just says, you know what, best quality. No, we're going to say, you know what, in order to participate, all right, you have to meet Google's DNS SLA, okay? And then our preference here is going to be all of our group members, all right? And we're going to pick the one that has the less latency. Now, if you do the low cost, you do have to pick one of the targets that we did. Now, remember, this one had the latency of 5 milliseconds. This one had the latency of 30. We're going to say, hey, in order to even participate, you have to meet this qualification. All right? So, and if we go ahead and we say, okay, all right, it is going to use these interfaces that have a better quality right off of the bat. So let's go ahead and test it. Why not? So let's go over to our make internet noise. All right, let's generate some traffic. Okay, that is not right. Oh, guys, that is awesome. My client on my actual machine, see how I run the FortiClient, is blocking it from my host machine way upstream. Oh, that's hilarious. All right, here we go. So let's make some noise. All right, so it's going out here. And how do we check again for our utilization? We can go to SD-WAN. We can scroll down here, and we're going to see eventually port 2 stop being used. So let's go ahead and go to our FortiView, because that has the easiest way to view it. Let's go to our session table. All right, and we should not see, let's see here, where's our interface? We should not see port 2 being used at all, which we're not. It's not even considering it because it's not hitting that service level agreement. That's pretty darn cool. All right, so I know this video is going on a little bit longer, but I want to show you even neater things that we can do here. Are you guys ready? So for example, let's go back to our SD-WAN rules. And you can even push traffic out certain interfaces based off of where they're going to. So let's say, for example, that port 4 is what we're going to use for our streaming. So let's go over here to our SD-WAN rules. All right, we're going to create new, and this new one is going to call something like YouTube. We'll just say YouTube, right? I guess I don't need the .com in there. It doesn't need to be a fully qualified domain name. All right, here we go. Anyone coming from our subnet, all right? But here I'm going to say, you know what? Use our internet services. Now, the internet services is a collection of public IP addresses and their transport protocols. Think of it as like, it's not doing application shaping because we're not looking at the application data. We're just looking at layers 3 and layers 4 of where it's going. But this is maintained with your subscription services. And one of them here should be YouTube. All right, let's see here. All right, maybe they don't have YouTube. Oh, let's try Google. There we go. So I guess you do need to use application control for that one, but let's actually push everything, fine, everything using Google Web. Okay, we'll hit close. And like I said, guys, there's so much we could do here, all right? But unfortunately, for the sake of time, you know, we'll keep it simple, okay? And then here, when it comes to our participants, we're going to use the best quality out of port 4. All right. Oops, my bad. And it does make you use an SLA for the quality of the links. Now, in newer versions of the FortiOS in 6.2, you can actually do what's known as a manual route. It just makes it a little bit more intuitive here. But this should always use port 4 going out, going forward. All right. So now don't forget, though, that it is a top-down approach, so we're going to have to drag that above. All right, so now everything going to Google Web should be going down to the port 4. So I'm actually just going to pop this open here, and I'm going to go to google.com. All right, there we are. Okay, and then if we go over to our FortiView now, oops, here we go, FortiView. Look out of our sessions, okay? I'm just going to add a filter real quickly here for Google. Oops. Application. Google Web. There we are. Ah, see, I missed it. All right, here we go. Oops. Oh, duh, I'm in the box. That's the thing, guys, is that, here we go. It's hard to capture that in the FortiView right away. Let's try the last 5 minutes. All right, let's kill it. Fine. Maybe that was a bad example. Is it not seeing it as web traffic? Huh, I guess it's not. That's kind of weird. So anyways, but if I could, and of course we have way too much sessions going on right now because of all this stuff going on over here, all right? But I promise you guys, if it hit one of those IP addresses, and there's a good chance I didn't update my database, it should be using port 4, all right? So let me go ahead and try that. Let me try to do destination interface WAN 4 and see if anything's being pushed. Look at that. Okay. Sorry, guys. I was trying my hardest to get an example there. And look, everything that is destined to Google Web, all right, now remember that that has a database of IP addresses that are publicly facing, so think of it as kind of like application control in a sense, but at layers 3 and 4, that gets updated every time you update your FortiGuard services, so packages I should say. And look at that. And everything else though is still hitting that WAN 1, and then port 2, which has the crappier connections, not even being considered. So all right guys, that went on way too long, okay, but that is our last option of how to load balance some traffic coming out of the FortiGate. Now if people are more interested in the SD-WAN and more examples of it, I really need to do a 6.2 example because they have added way much more to it, but I'm pretty far behind on my videos that I've been trying to do and to lab up and things like that, but hopefully someone found some value of that. And yeah, anyways guys, thanks for watching, and until next time.